WrestleMania has been on quite the run these past few years. However, beforehand, it was pretty bad. At least a few WrestleManias felt like they were alright to poor quality. You have WrestleMania 32, for example, being absolutely dog water. COVID Mania being ups and a lot of downs. But what if this year's WrestleMania went off the bloody rails? I am Dojon, your wrestling VTuber World Champion. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe as we go ahead and dive into the worst possible WrestleMania for WrestleMania 40. Side note, I'm going to be going off of what we have confirmed at the time of March the 16th. By the time you watch this video, a lot more matches could have been confirmed by now. However, I'm only going strictly off of what has been confirmed. 6-man tag team ladder match. And I'll be honest, and to share, why not just let them win the titles? On the real, if you want to devalue these tag titles, don't split them and give them to Jinder Mahal's former mates. Out of everybody in this tournament, it feels like they kind of have the lowest amount of vibe, and this would be the biggest why though booking decision, where people will be sitting there scratching their heads. And I honestly, no offense to these two, I don't feel like there's going to be any potential decent amount of booking coming their way. AJ Styles versus LA Knight. It feels pretty simple to say AJ Styles wins. If we do this here, this would be effectively going ahead and showing a sign that WWE just doesn't care. Although this should not happen, this hopefully won't happen, especially now that he who shall not be named is no longer in charge of the WWE, and this is something that he would have pulled. But you know, WWE would have given up and would effectively be saying, hey, we give up on LA Knight if he does not win this match here. But since this is the worst case scenario video, I have to say AJ wins. Bayley versus Io Sky. You know what? Why not to say everybody? You know I can't say it. Screw your stories. And Bayley goes on. She has issues with damage control. She wants to go ahead and destroy it from the inside. But say, since we're doing stupid booking, bad booking, I don't know. Out of sheer pettiness and spite, Bianca Belair, for some reason, decides to turn heel and join Damage Control, or just screws Bayley out of the championship, just as a royal fuck. Keep cursing, I can't curse on YouTube. It's a real screw you. And in the main event, I'll be honest, you'd have to try hard to really mess this up. While I could say, hey, Cody and Rollins winning would feel like the bad choice, because you know what, I'll say it. Cody versus Rollins could be the bad choice. This is the only match on all of WrestleMania where there is a worst case scenario for either side winning. With Cody and Rollins, if they win, it feels like we are effectively being set up to have Cody lose his match against Roman Reigns, which in of itself is a god-awful nightmare. However, we could also have the worst case scenario where he still loses on night 2, but he loses on night 2 as well, with Roman and Rock winning. Really, night 1, the main event, someone is affected by what we do with night 2. Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre, there's 1 to 2 worst case scenarios we can go here. Either scenario 1, Seth retains. Why? I won't go ahead and say Seth had a bad reign, because he hasn't, but it feels like it's long overdue for Seth to drop that title. He's held it long enough as the first person to hold that title. It feels like it's time for him to lose it. But if we do in fact do this, why? If you want something that's even worse than that, Damian Priest cashes in. It feels like regardless what you do with Damian Priest, it feels like a downgrade. Whether he cashes in the main event or he cashes in here, it feels like an utter downgrade. So I'd have to say, you know what? Damian Priest wins, or Seth Rollins would just simply retain. Which in turn also makes Drew McIntyre look pitiful because he loses 3 times in a row against Seth. Even his most heelish Seth, or self, would fall short. Also, it is kind of effectively throws out the window the potential juicy storyline you can have with the world champion Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. All just to put the title on Damian Priest, perhaps. Or Seth retains. Because I'll be real, what do we do with him after the fact if he does retain? But give The Rock the world title even though he's going back to Hollywood for the entire month of May, June, July. Jimmy versus Jay. And the worst case scenario is simple. Pull what we did with Matt versus Jeff Hardy. I don't remember what WrestleMania it was. It might have been 27 or something. And have Jimmy win. Jay loses a lot of momentum, and it doesn't do that much for Jimmy. The United States Championship match actually kind of feels like the one genuine match you would have to try hard to mess up. That and the Intercontinental Championship match. Because really, what can we do for a worst case scenario? Like, putting personal feelings aside for how you may feel about Logan Paul, I wouldn't 100% mind if any of these three win. Really, the only thing I could say for a worst case scenario is the match is just bad or short. Outside of that, there's really nothing else I can think of. Perhaps, Jesus, I really can't think of something. Hey, y'all down in the comments, let your boy know what you would put here for the worst case scenario. Oh, yeah, you liking the video so far? Let you know I'm gonna be streaming night one of WrestleMania over on Twitch, so feel free to peep me over there. Also, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see, because we're going to be doing a lot more wrestling videos. But anyways, back to the video. Becky versus Rhea. I'll be real, the simple answer is Rhea loses. Becky does not have that spark, that fire that I felt she had back when she was the man, or even when she was big time Bex. It feels like there's something missing from Becky. So you kind of still that fire that is around Rhea Ripley if we have Becky go ahead and retain. So yeah, Becky retains here. So the other match that I kind of struggle to figure out how you would have a worst case scenario is Gunther versus Sami Zayn. And while the argument is there for maybe Sami might be the worst case scenario, there'll be a lot of people that would be happy if you won. Gunther has already broken every single record you could have with that Intercontinental Championship. But on the flip side, it feels like Chad Gable would be a better option to take that title from him. If not him, either Ilya Dragunov or a Braun Breaker. So I suppose if I were to say Sami Zayn, it'll be for that reason and that reason only. We can have the bigger potential names, and the fact that Sami Zayn has already held the Intercontinental title a good 3 times. That would be the only reason I would say that he would be the worst case scenario here. That and the match just goes horribly. And in the main event, I'm gonna cut it short here. Roman wins, lol. And Cody Rhodes goes back to being everyone's favorite mid-carder. And we have to suffer through not just one more year, not just 2 more years, but most likely a good 3 more years of Roman reign. Because let me tell you, if he retains here, he is most likely going to fight The Rock at next year's WrestleMania. And if he does that, he is most likely going to win. If you're falling, they will be a little too close to breaking Bruno Sammartino's record. And if by some horrible case scenario where we are that far into this title reign, they aren't going to go ahead and just say, hey, we're this close, let's just have him lose the title anyways. It's not like how we are now where, oh, well, he might break Hulk Hogan's record, when that record's not even the #1 longest reign. The worst case scenario will be Roman winning, and then being the undisputed Universal Champion until 2027. But yeah, that was some of the worst case scenarios, and some of the fallouts as well for the WrestleMania 40 card. Let your boy know, what would you say be the worst case possible scenario for WrestleMania to turn a dream match, okay, maybe not a dream match, but a dream card into an absolute nightmare? Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hey, we're done here. You can go home.